So I did some research. It takes a really delicate touch. You don't have to be touching the fabric directly with the flame. Okay, now I'm starting to see it go. Another super cool thing about having a muslin table is that you can also use it to press things on. This is where you'll see the ruler comes in very handy. There are cases where you do need to pin stuff. It's kind of like a baseball hitting a baseball bat. You can see I've got these two little ears that stick out. Okay, there is our little reinforcement we have there. So this is what my little shelf is going to look like. We're back. So today I thought I would start out with pinning my flat felled seam between my hammock and my shelf. And you know, there's a million ways to do this, but what I'm doing is I'm basically just laying out my fabric. I'm doing a 1-inch flat felled seam, so I measure out 1/2 inch. I bend this over like that, and I bend it over again. Get everything to line up all nice here. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'll go in like this, and I'll only grab the top ones, like that, and then I'll go ahead and pin them like that. Now again, I'm contradicting what I said earlier about how you pin. The reason I'm doing it this way is because it's giving me a little bit more stability. And plus, I'm going to start at that end and then sew this way, so I'll just be able to pull the pins out as I go. I figured while I was going, I wanted to make a personal observation here. So one thing that's been worrying me a little bit about how I've set this up is, you know, the sides of the hammock, because I curved them a bit down. I'm worried that my shelf, when I get it all extended out, that my shelf is also going to be curved like that. It probably will be. Which means that every time I throw something into the shelf, it's probably going to want to slide down and collect in the middle. So we'll have to see how that goes. I may, for future versions of this hammock, what I may do is have the side that's going to have the shelf, have that actually be a little bit higher. I'm just going to play with it, you know, until I field test it and see how it's going to work. I won't know. So we'll see how it goes. But like I said, you know, I want to see how that plays out. So it should be interesting. All right, onward and hangingward. Okay. Okay, so I got myself all pinned up here. But what I wanted to show you was how I'm going to blend the end here. So as I stitch, as you can see right here, I've kind of blended back in because I'm going to be using bias tape here and around the edges. So I needed to blend it back in so that I could get everything to work. And then I've gone and, like I said, put everything together. I'm going to use a navy thread because I want it to show up against the burgundy fabric, so that ought to look really nice. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm actually going to stitch it from the top down because that's the side that everybody's going to see. The bottom side, people aren't going to see it so much, but the top side they will. So I'm going to stitch it from the top so it'll look really nice. So we're moving right along here. You can see my line I've got going there so far. What I'm doing is I'm lining up so that I'm right on this outside of this foot. So there's a little thing that sticks out right here, and I'm right to that, and that's about 1/8 of an inch from the needle. So I'm just keeping myself nice and lined up with that. The other thing that I'm doing, you have to kind of pull this fabric kind of tight to make sure that everything lines up and lays real nice and flat. So I'm also pulling it pretty tight as I'm moving it through. Okay, so I got my one side stitched in for the flat felled, and now I'm going to do the other stitch to make it a real good flat felled seam. Now this one I'm actually going to do from the back because I already have my initial seam, which I can use as my guideline. Okay, really quick though before we start, I wanted to show you where I lined this one up. So you can see right here is my stitch, so I'm actually lining that up in the middle. Close up so you can see what I'm talking about. My foot, see how my foot sticks out here and it sticks out here. So I have the edge of the start of this here, of that blue fabric right here, which lines up right with the inside edge of that foot. Now my stitch actually ends up with the middle of this little sticky outy part. And that's a technical term, sticky outy. So I'm going to want to keep myself kind of there. I'm going to have to play it by ear as I go along just in case I have some places where I wasn't exactly right on the money, but I'm going to actually use this as my guideline. Not this one so much. It just helped me line up for the first bit here. But I will keep my stitch that I already did right here in the middle of this foot right here. Or this little sticky outy hoo-ha. Okay. Okay, so here is our flat felled seam. So it worked out pretty good. So you can see I am actually standing where my feet are going to be. So my head is going to be up in that area up there, and then I'm going to sleep with my legs down here. So my shelf will be off to my right hand side. So as I'm reading, I can read some stuff and then I can just toss it into the shelf. So like I said, I really hope this works. Like I said, my only concern is the curve that I put in there. The other thing, next time I'm going to do too, I think what I might do actually is cut the hammock and the shelf out of one piece, if I can get one that's wide enough. Or maybe I just do a narrower shelf, we'll see. I'm really excited about it. I think this is turning out pretty good. You know, for a first hammock, I'm not going the easiest route here, and I'm really liking it. So I really hope it works out. So tomorrow we're going to learn how to do bias tape. Our own bias tape, because that'll be my next step, is to get all the edges taken care of with bias tape. And that's a technical term. Sticky outy hoo-ha. This hammock is a little bit big for me. Yeah.